and welcome to the Makeover Factory, a place where I blend the practical and the spiritual so that you can create a life that you love. And when I say that, I don't mean to sound airy fairy. I really do believe that the concepts that I talk about on this YouTube channel are really going to change the way that you see life, the way that you show up in the world, the way that you handle situations. And so, along those lines, today's topic is about happiness and joy. Well, what about it? So, we are, as I've said several times, many times, we are spirits inhabiting these human forms. And there is a secret sauce or a secret recipe to life that up until recent times has pretty much been kept or hidden from us. And I won't go too far into that except to say that religious texts, or I'll say this, the way that we go about practicing our religion really only scratches the surface of what the religious texts were trying to show us. And so we've missed a lot of things. And on this channel, I want to start diving into some of those concepts that have either been not explored completely or have been glossed over, or we just didn't really get the gist of what the religious text was trying to teach us. So, back to happiness and joy. We come as spirits in these human bodies, and we really haven't been equipped with the information that we need to navigate life. And so, many of us, and I'll raise my hand to that, I was one of those people, which is how I amassed all of this knowledge, was I went on a quest. I went on a journey to find peace, joy, and happiness. And what I found was a little bit shocking. It may shock you too. Happiness is an inside job. And I'm going to demonstrate why that is true. Whew, where do I start? I mean, we think that the cars and the clothes and the houses, I just bought a house, we think that external things are going to satisfy us. And don't get me wrong, they help. They help make life a little bit more fun, give it a little bit more complexion, or a little bit more nuance. We enjoy the stuff. There's no mistaking that. But the stuff is never going to fully and completely satisfy you, because this journey that we are partaking as human beings is really about our souls. And so there's something much bigger going on here than the cars, the clothes, the houses, the men, the women, the dates, the trips. There's something far bigger going on here. And so it's just never going to do it. I don't care how many houses you buy. I don't care how many men you get. You're going to still find deep down inside that happiness is going to elude you, generally speaking. There's always exceptions to every rule. I mean, there are some people that really can get off, for lack of a better word, on the stuff and the flash and the this and the that. And whether or not they're truly happy, I can't say. They may get on Instagram and kind of, portray themselves as being completely happy. But here's what I would say to that. They're going to find that that happiness is fleeting. In other words, it's not going to last. One day they're going to look up and they're going to find that the happiness just isn't there, that the stuff just really doesn't do it. That they were maybe tricked into believing that they had a source of joy or peace or happiness, and they really didn't have it. The other scenario, when you see people on Instagram and on Facebook with all the stuff and the smiles and they look like they're having the time of their lives, it's a lie. And they know it's a lie. Now, they're not going to tell us that it's a lie. Um, but I think for a lot of people that we see, we get fooled into thinking if I just had their life, if I just had their stuff, that I'd be happy. But no, there's a much, much bigger thing going on here, like I said. And so we have not been designed by the Creator to have our happiness be satisfied by material things. And along those same lines, we'll go back to the people on Instagram that we see with the flash and the Porsches and the cars and the private jets and all of that, and they claim that they're happy. If material things have made them happy, what happens when it's gone? You know, life can be unpredictable. You can be up one minute, but you can be down the very next. And so, if your happiness is tied to material things, what happens when you can't purchase all that stuff? So, that's just a silly road to go down. So, let me talk about the source of happiness, joy. I kind of lump those in together. They're slightly different, but for the sake of this talk, we're just going to say that place of contentment and satisfaction that everyone is looking for. You got to go inside for that. At the beginning of the talk, I said I would demonstrate why that is, and so follow me for a second here. Think about a child. Think about the times when you were a small child, a little human. Do you recall states of being unhappy, depressed? You really don't. When you see a child, they have moments where they may not be satisfied with what's happening to them. If you tell them that they can't touch the stove, they're going to scream, they're going to rebel in that moment. They may even flop down on their little Pampers and cry a few tears. But what happens next? A couple seconds later, by the time you go back into the kitchen to finish what you were doing as a mom, when you turned around and looked at them, they were on trying to get into the next thing. They may have even been laughing a second later. And that is because we came here knowing the concept of joy and happiness. It is surprisingly our natural state. We've been conditioned out of it. Think about the first time that you experienced a state of sadness or depression. Now, we're not talking about a momentary thing. You take a child's toy, or if you tell him he can't do something, he's going to protest. We're not talking about that. We're talking about states of unhappiness or depression. I think the first time that I experienced it, I was probably a preteen when I started to know extended states of dissatisfaction. But up until that time, generally speaking, I got up, I played with my friends. When I was smaller, I loved to lie on the grass and look up at the sky for hours. That could keep me contented. In other words, when you're small, when you're young, all you know is happiness. You don't know states of depression. That doesn't come until later. And that comes as we watch the people around us. We love them. They intended no harm. But as we watch the people around us kind of process life situations, it gave us the impression that that was also true for us, that that is just the way that the world is. And so we were conditioned out of our natural state of joy and happiness. And it took me a minute to kind of process that and realize that you know what, we're all searching for happiness outside of ourselves. But what we really should be doing is getting back to the truth of who we are. And the truth of who we are is happy. We know joy. We know contentedness. So I just wanted to pop in and kind of share that with you today. Joy and happiness is your natural state. Return to that. When things aren't going well for you, remember who you are. Remember how you were born, how you came here. You came here as someone who only knew happiness and joy.